Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and I watch YouTube. I'm also a YouTuber, and I see a lot of the trash advice that's basically out there from YouTubers. Now, before you say, Tommy, this is gonna be a spicy video full of drama. I'm not a drama guy. I am a boring guy. I invest boringly, and it makes me a good amount of money, and I really don't want to change that. So don't think the people I put on the thumbnail are the people that give the trash advice. That's actually the people I like the most. I like Ram Stefan. I like me, Kevin. I like all those guys, okay? But one big thing is there is a lot of trash advice out there when it comes to investing into stocks. But overall, guys, one big trend that I am noticing is basically people make videos about stocks and say, hey, invest into this one, invest into that one, and people go ahead, invest money into it, and then say, yo, I lost money. Or I bought the stock, then it went down, and I see a lot of pump and dumps. So I'm making this video to help the average investor know what advice to listen to and which ones to actually stay away from. And the strategy is simple, which is basically, hey, Tommy, if I'm following big investors, YouTubers, and all these rich people, if I do what they do, shouldn't that make me money? Okay, it's kind of like, hey, monkey see, monkey do. If they do this and it got them rich, wouldn't that also make me rich? The answer is no. And here's why. That strategy has three main flaws I'm gonna break down in this video. But I will say, all beginners are like this. I was also like that. When I first got started, my hero was Warren Buffett. And my strategy was, well, if Warren bought this, why don't I just buy it? And then eventually I'll be rich too, right? That's the whole idea. But no, there's a lot of things you don't know. So this is why I'm making this video, to make sure I help you out with this whole thing. And it's not just finance guys and YouTubers, but there are apps out there I won't mention because I like not getting sued. Apps out there that allow you to track the investments of these rich folks and then basically copy them over to your portfolio. And if everyone can do that, how is everyone going to be rich just by copying? I don't see it, okay? I'm going to break everything down in this video. But as always, like this video and top out. Also, subscribe and hit the bell to get notified. And by the way, every now and then, I gotta do a little clickbait. So the very first flaw, guys, with the strategy is simple. Rich people, they're playing a different game. A different game than the game they played when they were first getting started. Okay, let me explain here, but use common sense, okay? If you have $10,000 or $1,000, right? Do you think that what you did when you had that much money is going to be the same exact strategy that you would use if you had, for example, a few $1,000,000 or a few $1 billion? The answer is obviously no. And by the way, the good investors like Warren Buffett, they tell you, they say, hey, the strategy I use today to make 20% a year on average annualized is not the same strategy I would use if I was just coming up as a regular investor with a small amount of money. And when he had a small amount of money, guess what? He was making a lot more than 20%. So the idea is the rules the rich people basically use when they're rich and wealthy already are not the same rules and strategies they use when they weren't all rich and wealthy. So if just by copying someone, you're not gonna get the same results at all because they're playing a different game with a lot more money. That's the idea. So let me explain here, guys, okay? And you might see this and say, well, Tommy, this means I'm at a disadvantage. The answer is no. You are at a massive advantage. Think about it. If you're dealing with a person that has billions and millions of dollars, right? What can they invest their money into? They have a lot of money, right? So they just can't, for example, pick the smaller companies because even if they make, let's say, for example, 100% on a $10,000 investment, it wouldn't really add that much to their net worth. So they got to go out there and find bigger investments that are safer, long-term, and also sure shareholders are basically, hey, things are going to be safe here. But you, when you're dealing, for example, with a small amount of money, you're able to invest money into small cap investments, usually worth between $300 to $2 billion. I know it sounds like a lot. It does to me also, but compared to Microsoft and Apple's trillion-dollar businesses, it's not really that much. That's why they call it small companies, although they're worth $300 to $2 billion. But when you go ahead and invest into these companies, the return you're gonna get, if you 10x on that, is gonna be a massive amount compared to what your net worth actually is. For example, if I invest $1,000 and I make 10x my money, that means I made $10,000 right here. But if I'm Warren Buffett and I invest $100,000 and I get 10x from this small company, the answer is it's not really gonna affect all the billions of dollars that I actually have overall. That's the idea. So when you're first coming up, you have the opportunity to grow a lot more faster because you're able to invest into smaller companies that have a lot more potential for growth. That is the overall idea, I'm telling you. Now, I can't go into full detail here because it's a YouTube video, not a book, but I have a book recommendation that actually helped me out a lot with this, and it's called One Up on Wall Street by Peter Lynch. And that book is right here, and it helped me out a lot, and it tells you, hey, here is your advantage as a small investor. Here's how you invest money as a small investor, how you do everything, the why, and the strategy is in that book right there, and I highly, highly recommend it. Now, the second flaw with the strategy of being like a copycat, monkey do, monkey see, I'm terrible at quotes, I'm sorry about that, but it's basically that the information you get is basically delayed and you have a lot of missing parts and fragmented information. Okay, let me explain here and let me use common sense, okay? Let's say, for example, I found an investment. And this investment took me a lot of effort and a lot of work to actually find. Now, am I gonna say, hey, I'm not going to invest into this investment. I'm going to go to the public, tell the public, and then have them raise the price, and then I can't buy anymore because obviously the price went up too much. Or am I going to go ahead and invest and lock in at that price, then tell the public, but by the time you actually go ahead and invest into it, it might be a terrible investment for you because if I bought in at $20, but then the price went up to $30, that might mean, hey, it's actually not a good investment at $30, but you don't really know all the details to it. And by the way, one thing I've noticed is that basically a lot of YouTubers, investors out there, they don't, some, not all, okay? They don't tell you about their losses. I always say, hey, I lost some money on GoPro, like way back like 5 years ago. But I remember this one YouTuber lost some money on this company, which I won't mention because I don't want to give you any hints here. And I noticed the whole thing, but then I never saw a video about, hey, so the investment went bad, I lost money here. Just so you guys know that sometimes I also make bad investments and it's actually not a good deal at all. But you got to be careful with the information and who you actually listen to. So let me be transparent right now to dive this point all the way home. Again, the flaw is the information is delayed, so you don't really know. And by the way, big companies, like for example, public companies, they have to disclose when they actually make an investment, but not immediately. So that's the problem. And YouTubers, for example, they don't got to tell you. So that's when basically you see a lot of pumps and dumps actually going on. But let me use my personal example here. You know, back in 2020, I bought this company called Delta, the airline, because the price was basically super cheap. So I went ahead and I bought in. But remember, guys, okay, during that time, guess who was selling? The guy I follow. Warren Buffett was selling. So Warren was selling. For him, that was a great time to sell. For me, as a small investor, that was a great time to go ahead and buy. Now, when I bought that company, I later made a video, I think like 3 to 7 days later. I made a video saying, hey guys, I bought this company and here you go. But in 3 to 7 days, a lot can change. So the price I paid, for example, let's say if I paid at $20 or whatever, which it wasn't that price, let's say I paid $20. Well, by the time you find out, it might be 25, it might be 30, right? And then it might not be such a sweet deal for you. And then about a year and a few days later, when I sold the company, guess what? I made 128% of this company. But by the time the video came out saying, hey guys, so I sold Delta stock, and that was like 3-7 days later, the price might have gone down a lot more. So then you're basically kind of cut out. The point is the information is fragmented. So that's why you don't really want to copy because you don't know all the details to what price I'm buying at, why I bought, what was the price I'm actually looking at, and how do I know it's actually a good price? This is the big problem. And on top of that, a lot of people don't reveal all the details. I overshare, at least here with like my finances, because it's what I do, it's my job. So I have to overshare and I have a duty to be transparent here. Now, the third and final flaw, guys, with the strategy is a simple one. You don't know when people change their minds. You know, like that YouTuber I told you about in the second step, you know, when he bought that stock, or she bought that stock or whatever it was, and he basically bought it at that price or whatever it was. When he changed his mind and probably sold it at a loss, you never found out about that because they don't tell you. So when you have a big investor out there and they buy this stock that they may be promoting like a bunch, but then some way along the line, they change their minds, okay? They might not tell you they changed their minds. So you're left, it's kind of like copying somebody's test answers, and then when they go ahead and review over the test and they change a few answers, you don't know they changed their mind. So you're left with the old answers. You know, funny story. Someone did that to me, okay? When I was like first growing up, I only knew Spanish. I didn't know English. It was a spelling bee test. The girl, she basically wrote down all the wrong answers because, you know, basically she knew I was copying. Okay, let's be honest. She knew I did not know how to spell anything or say anything. So she let me copy the whole thing. And after I was done copying the spelling bee test, I basically submitted it. And then I watched her erase every single answer and then rewrite it the right way. And I was like, what the? You know, it was crazy, okay? But it taught me a lesson. You never want to be caught just basically cheating. When you just basically copy something, you don't know the how, you don't know the why, you don't know the where, you don't know any of the real details. So to conclude this video, guys, what do you do? The answer is you become independent, and you also become a little bit interdependent. My point is not to say, hey, don't watch YouTubers. No, there's a lot of good information out there. Graham, Stephan, me, Kevin, Jeremy, Andre, right? These guys have a lot of good information out there. Also like Brian, right? But the main idea is, if you don't know what they're doing and why they're doing it, and you don't know all the fragments, then it doesn't make sense. That's like my honest, true feelings about this. And especially me too, right? So if I buy something, but you don't know why I'm buying it and how I'm buying it, what price I actually bought it at, then it's probably not a good deal for you. So the main thing is, yeah, you can listen, you can get ideas, but then you have to be able to have the skill to double check the work. But who can you copy without really double checking that much? Is the long-term boring investors like me, because I'm no longer picking stocks. I make good money, okay? But the main idea is now I'm the boring investor. So what I do is I just invest my money into long-term index funds. I have it on autopilot into the same exact thing for the next 10 to 20, 30 years. If you want to copy that portfolio, I have a link down below. And if you want to fully comprehend it, here's another book called The Little Book About Common Investing by John C. Bogle. And that book is going to help you out a lot. And also this book right here, I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. Okay, those two books help you a lot when it comes to investing. And also a third book called A Random Walk Down Wall Street. If you want to read it, read it. But the core idea is I'm very well diversified. I invest for the long term. And I also teach this in my entire financial freedom course, which I have a link down below, and also a coupon, which won't be available for that long. So take advantage while you still can. Thanks for watching though, guys. Hopefully this helped you not cheat anymore, because cheating is not what you want to do when you're left stranded and you don't know what to do exactly. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. If you want to call me directly and talk to me one-on-one, feel free to do so. It's actually free. The link is down below. On top here is another video, and here's my face. Click subscribe. And as always, long-term team officially out, and my Instagram is here.